All right, we are back to do a recap of the USA versus South Sudan part two. They played in like what I guess the qualifying matches before the Olympics started, but these are the group stages for the Olympics. We want to talk about it. I'm here with Aaron Ackerman and Cam McPherson, two guys who I've been doing this with forever. Let's start with Cam. Cam, how are you, man?
Good man, we're back in it. We're getting some extra basketball in the off season here to fill that weird void between football season after the NBA postseason. So couldn't be happier as a sports fan.
And Aaron, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, living the dream. Me and Cam and we just moved in together actually. So if anyone's down in Miami, come see us. We're coming at you live. We got a big game coming up in the fall. FSU at Miami, October 26th. Would love to see everyone out here, but really enjoying the Olympics this year. There's been a lot of good competition. It's been cool to see the U.S. get some competition in swimming specifically. I've been watching a lot of swimming, and let me tell you, those Australians have been coming at us hard this year. So a lot of good competition. It's been a great game so far. I'm excited to see how it keeps going.
Absolutely. I saw that Katie Ledecky, she got bronze in the, I think it was 400 meter about 4 days ago, maybe 3 days ago. She lost to Titmus, who was absolutely killer in that. But going back to basketball, I kind of want to talk about the starting lineup that changed, right? We got who Drew Holiday's been a recurring starter in these games, and then we got Jason Tatum inserted, Embiid not in the starting lineup. So just I guess Aaron, starting with you, Jason Tatum, why does he get to be a starter in this game and maybe not last game?
To be honest with you, I don't think there's a very big tactical reason to it. I think it's because Steve Kerr got some backlash, and I mean, you're playing South Sudan. Much respect to them for qualifying, but they're not a great team. So I think it was more of a here, have some playing time, get everyone the rock, spread it around a little bit. I don't think I'd read too much into this. If we're playing like a Germany or a France or a Spain, I think we go back to the original lineup. I don't think Tatum's getting a ton of minutes just because as great of a player as he is, the forwards on this team are really unbelievable. I mean, he plays a three and the four, and you got LeBron, KD, and AD who are all for sure clear of him. So I think this was a kind of get your feet wet, enjoy the Olympics, and we're going to win this game no matter what happens. So not really too big of a deal in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think some of it definitely had to do with the backlash he faced of Tatum not getting any minutes in game one. But I also think that Steve Kerr is really looking at the other team specifically. Like South End doesn't have a true center or a true five. So there's really nobody that Embiid matches up with. It doesn't really make sense to have him out there. So I could see Steve Kerr making several other adjustments. I wouldn't be shocked if we see a different starting lineup each one of these games. But I also think some of that has to do with KD being out there. KD and Tatum pretty much play the same role. So having both those guys out there at the same time doesn't make a lot of sense logistically.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a lot of people saying that like Steve Kerr is, should be the villain for sitting Tatum, this isn't just Steve Kerr's decision. He might be the head coach, but the assistant coaches are Tyronn Lue and Eric Spoelstra and guys who are veteran coaches too, who definitely have input on this team. And it seemed like it was a group agreement that maybe this might not be the best game for Tatum, but South Sudan was. So I want to talk about the beginning of this game in the first quarter. LeBron sets the tone, brings the physicality early, and we do see them picking up Carlik Jones. Shout out to him. Kind of full court to start out because he did triple double in the first game. I guess Cam, right back to you. What's that like to have LeBron as your floor general, but also setting the tone, being like, hey, I'm going to go to the basket on the first drive of the game and let them know we're coming at you all game?
Yeah, I mean, LeBron is one an incredibly hard person to game plan. We all know that, but I really think just his field general presence and the way he just manipulates the defenders to move his own guys around and get those guys into scoring chances. They got AD some early buckets or soon to get him in the momentum, and like I think that really helps the offense get going as well. But I mean, LeBron specifically has just been so physical in this Olympics so far. There's really nobody that can match up with him.
And you mentioned them picking up Carlik Jones full court. I think a big reason they're doing that is they know South Sudan, they got some shooters on their team. They can score the ball a little bit. They're trying to force the issue, make them overthink, maybe try to get a couple turnovers. If you look at it this game, they forced 19 turnovers. 13 of those were steals. South Sudan, sorry, did not shoot terribly from the field. 38% from three. They shot 92% from the free throw line. they had no issue scoring the ball. The problem for them was more getting the shot. So I think Steve Kerr might have thought, last game we kind of sat back, let them come to us. This time, let's take it to them. Let's try a different strategy because they scored, 101 points last time. This time, only 86. I think a big difference of that, again, is the turnovers and the steals and the way Team USA kind of upped the tempo and made them play Team USA basketball instead of South Sudan basketball.
What's great about Team USA is that the starting five is great. Steph, LeBron, AD, you got big names. The second unit is just as good. And you got a lot of defenders coming on the second unit, right? You got Derek White, you got Drew Holiday, Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo. That's a hell of a five, Cam. When that's your five and you're rolling that out, like you messaged me before, right? You got these guys surrounding KD that can kind of pick up that slack on defense and allow him to do what he does best.
Yeah, I mean, KD is literally at his best. The problem with the Phoenix Suns as well is they require him to be the second or the third best defender on that team in starting five scenarios. KD when he has to spend too much of his effort defensively, he's really going to struggle. I mean, not struggle, but he doesn't get to exert 110% on offense, which is where he thrives. In this Team USA role, he's basically just using his length and sitting in those passing lanes to pick up those extra steals. We're not seeing him play the on-ball defender that he has to play in Phoenix. We're seeing guys like Derek White, Drew Holiday. I mean, the South Sudan game specifically doesn't have anybody that can really handle the ball at KD's size. So it's not like he really has to do much on defense. We kind of see him basically just sitting in the corner and really picking off those passing lanes when AD forces a shot out to the perimeter.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned the second unit, right? And Bam gets that center spot in the second unit. Now, Aaron, in the beginning, you mentioned how Embiid or Tatum, it's kind of just let's get your feet wet. Do you still feel the same way about Embiid? Because not only are you not the starting center anymore for Anthony Davis, off the bench, they're bringing in Bam Adebayo, someone who's a little more versatile than Embiid. So do you still feel that same way with Tatum as you do with Joel Embiid?
A little bit, but I think with Embiid, you're looking at something a little bit different, right? These Team USA guys get to this point, they're all unbelievably good players. Bam can do it pretty much everything Joel can, minus maybe a little bit. Joel, I wouldn't call him selfish in the games he's played so far, but he has kind of made the offense run through him. And if you look at a lot of the other players, they're very big into spreading the ball around. There was a lot of open shots passed up for even more open shots today. Devin Booker had a few. KD had 3 or 4 decently open threes that he kicked for a wide open three to Anthony Edwards or Derek White. So I think it was more of a play style fit than an attitude or a skill fit. I would say that mostly play style is the issue in that one.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I wrote this down in my notes in the second quarter. Bam Adebayo, he seals the defender. The defender is like, why didn't you call offensive foul, ref? But Bam seals him. Anthony Edwards lobs it over the top. Bam Adebayo gets a dunk. We saw Anthony Davis do the same thing a couple times. That's what Team USA centers are used to doing. They're used to sealing. You give it to them. They don't have to put the ball on the floor. They can immediately go up and finish. With Embiid, like you said, Aaron, that ball's going to him in the post. He's facing up. Now you have people like Steph, LeBron looking at the ball, watching the ball. That's not what you want. You want quick decisions by your center. So Cam, on that Joel Embiid front, what's your take on that? Do you think Bam is better as an Olympic center than Joel Embiid?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that point. I mean, if you look historically at Team USA centers, you're going to see guys like Tyson Chandler, Dwight Howard. None of those guys are like fit, DeAndre Jordan as well. None of those guys have the skill set that Joel Embiid does. That's not what I'm saying. But all of those guys need to be set up in scoring positions. Joel Embiid likes to get in his own zone, back his defender down, put him in the little post work, and do the things that Joel Embiid does well that made him an MVP. That doesn't exactly complement everybody else's skill set. That being said, I would be shocked if Joel Embiid records 0 minutes in the next game. Like I said earlier, it is all about matchups, and I don't think they won't play him at least a little bit. I think more than likely we'll see him come off with the second unit next game.
All right, so going back to what you told me again, Cam, I'm just gonna keep bringing these up with these messages. You were like, the Celtics are just so damn good, man, right? You got Derek White, you got Drew Holiday running around everywhere, coming up behind defenders, getting the ball back for their team, and then banging threes off of swing corner passes. The second unit ball movement was incredible. Aaron, when you have a team like the Celtics, right, and you see that Jaylen Brown isn't even in Paris right now, and they have 3 guys who are giving you this offensive and defensive output. How encouraging is that for Celtics fans being like, we might be the first team since the Warriors to go back to back?
Oh, I mean, you got to be very encouraged by it. And I don't even think this Olympics should make you think that. I think you should think that off of the finals this year. I mean, people were saying the East wasn't that good, but really, I think it was the Celtics being that good and everyone else just being good. Huge fan of the Celtics going forward. The 3-point shooting is really what you need. You got 4 guys out there that all shoot 39, 40+%. And that's a skill that ages very well, too. So these guys are all signed to long-term extensions. I think the future is very bright.
Aaron, just to add on to your point there, the Celtics actually have 7 guys in their main rotation that shot above 37% from 3 this season. And one thing else I would say, I'm ready to put Derek White in the conversation for some of the best players that'll never make an all-star team. He is legitimately that good. There's not a single team in the NBA that you couldn't drop Derek White on and he wouldn't help them get better. He does everything. He's a kicker, he's a great defender, and he's a 40% three-point shooter. Every team in the NBA needs that. And all the fans that wanted Jalen Brunson in the Olympics over Derek White would have been a disaster.
Right. I think you touched on something good there, Jalen Brunson. Like I mentioned earlier, the fit. I think the fit is more important than the skill set. When you get to a team that has this much talent on it, where the marginal loss by having someone slightly less skilled but a better fit is probably a net gain. So I like your point on that. Again, Brunson, again, great player, but Derek White fits the squad so well. He's so unselfish. He works hard on defense, and he can really do it all.
Yeah, I think Jalen Brunson goes in that Joel Embiid category where he's a great player, but he needs the ball to be as effective as he is. We saw him have that success in the New York playoffs this year, but that's also he's scoring 35, taking 32 shots. It's the same thing with Joel Embiid when he scores a bunch of points, whether it's 30 or whether it's 40. There's at least 25 possessions where it's a Joel Embiid post up down low and he's going to work. I think Jalen Brunson is a similar player, and that's why Derek White's the better fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points all around, but I kind of want to stick on what you were talking about with Joel Embiid and not only that, but Derek White too, right? Cam, I'm gonna need a Derek White video out of you talking about best players who were not all stars. But Derek White, you said, can fit on any team, right? Not the only guy. Stephen Curry can fit on most teams. Kevin Durant can fit on most teams. LeBron James can fit on most teams. So can Bam Adebayo. And this is where I want to end off with today because how do we feel about Bam? Is he a top 5 center? When we think about Jokic, Embiid, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Domantas Sabonis, it's a pretty stacked position that no one really talks about once you get past the MVP candidates. So, Aaron, I want to start with you, man. Is Bam a top 5 center? Because if that corner 3 is falling like it was in the first half today, there's no reason to put Embiid in, and the entire Heat offense will change because you don't need a guy like Kevin Love out there to, space the floor a little bit as well.
I think the defense and playmaking is so good from the center position, you could almost put him there without the 3-point shot. So if the 3-point shot comes around, he's really unlocked another level. He's a terrific rim protector. He can switch out onto the perimeter. He's super mobile for his size. I think he's right there, even without it. Even without it, I think he's right there.
I think he's definitely in the conversation as well. I think he's still outside the top 5 for me. I can't put him over Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns is the greatest shooting big man of all time, and that's not an exaggeration. I mean, he has multiple seasons shooting over 40%. He shot 41% on 5 attempts per game this season. I mean, with Rudy Gobert clogging up his spacing as well, like I still think Cat has the edge. But like Aaron said, and like you said, if we can get a consistent corner 3 falling from Bam, that's a discussion we're definitely going to have.
So the U.S. started the game with Steph, Book, Tatum, LeBron, Anthony Davis. They've had a lineup with Embiid at the 5 before, but in the fourth quarter with like 7 minutes left, I think they were trying to roll out KD with the starters. They had KD out there with Steph, Bron, and the starting lineup. I think that's also to be like, hey, we're going to let you play with these guys a little bit so that if we do get in a close game, you might have some chemistry with these guys. Who's that 5th guy for you? Because you have AD, KD, Steph, and Bron. Let's start with Cam and then Aaron. Who is that 5th guy? Is it Devin Booker? Is it Jason Tatum? Is it Anthony Edwards? Because that guy should, in your head, the role you think he'd be playing would be a sniper, spot-up shooter.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, for me, it's still Drew Holiday. I mean, Drew Holiday does what Derek White does, but he's the better on-ball defender, and I think that's what this lineup needs the most. I mean, everybody outside of Steph Curry is a plus defender, but I mean, having Drew Holiday on ball he's just an absolute menace. I mean, the guy defensively is a wizard, and I think having him out there really changed your dynamic. So for me, it'd be between him and Derek White, just because I don't want somebody that's going to need those kind of shots like Anthony Edwards, like Devin Booker. I mean, I can understand why they go with Booker, but for me, it's going to be Drew Holiday.
I actually got to agree with you. I think you hit the nail on the head there. The defense is so good, and he's so unselfish. He doesn't need the shots. You know, it comes back to this, right? Who's the best fit? Who's the best fit? Because these guys are all so similar in talent level. There's not a big enough difference between them to say, oh, well, he's so talented. He can go get us buckets. We can put him in and everything else will work itself out. No. So I agree with you 100%. I think it's Drew Holiday.
So to wrap up, in 2008, right, the Redeem Team, the people we thought about were Kobe, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Carmelo Anthony. In 2012, people we thought of were Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo, Kevin Durant, maybe Carmelo Anthony. 2016, it changes. Kyrie plays well. Klay Thompson is an integral part of that team, right? Draymond Green is on that team. Of course, Kevin Durant. In 2020, we have some of the same stuff, right? You have those notable guys. 2024, the four guys we're going to look back on in this era for this Team USA, the vets, the big dogs, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James. What does it mean for Anthony Davis that he's being grouped into this category now as well, being like, hey, Embiid might have the MVPs, but in 5 years when we look back at it, Anthony Davis was the one closing games. I'll start with Cam.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis is a top 75 player for a reason. He's one of the greatest centers we've ever seen. And defensively, he's an all-time good defender. It's going to be an absolute travesty that he's going to retire with 0 Defensive Player of the Years because Victor Wembanyama is about to win 10 straight or something ridiculous like that. But I mean, what Anthony Davis does defensively is phenomenal. I mean, the amount of shots he doesn't block but he affects is double digits plus every single game I've ever watched him play in. I mean, that's the kind of force he brings down low. Super physical. I mean, they call him the brow for a reason. You know, watching him like elbow those guys too. And the footwork is right up there with, I don't want to put him in the Hakeem Olajuwon conversations because that's a little too far. But if there's a tier right below that, that's where Anthony Davis's footwork belongs.
I just wish he would get the three-pointer going. If he could get that going again, he had it for a little bit. You know, it was the bubble, so it might not really count. It might be smoke and mirrors and illusion or whatnot, but if he can get that going, I would be willing to put him almost to Olajuwon's here. The defense is right there. It just – I don't know. I don't know what it is, but people don't really seem to like AD that much for some reason. He's just not a very popular guy. You go on Twitter and people are trashing him for his injury history, which – to be fair, he has been injured quite a bit, but it's not that bad. He played 76 games this past year, and he finally got over his thing where he has to play power forward. He's been playing the 5 more. I don't know. I don't know where the disconnect is, but he's a terrific player. I just wish the public would see it the same way.
Anthony Davis's nickname is the Brow. LeBron's got the new one, L'America. Kevin Durant is finally accepting the Slim Reaper. We have Chef Curry. Book is kind of it's normal, right? I liked Don Staley saying the quiet assassin. I liked that. In the NBA, he's not quiet, though. He talks a lot of trash. But we have a new nickname, guys. LeBron James. Benjamin Buckets. That's how we'll end. As time goes on, those buckets are still sliding, man. We're going to try to keep more of these videos coming up. Cam is going to be doing a lot of NFL stuff for us. Aaron's going to be doing everything. And, of course, we just got a lot of stuff for you guys. So we're super excited. But any last words you guys got?
Yeah, real quick. I just want to give a shout out to LeBron. Like you said, me and Cam were watching the game together. There's 2 minutes left in the fourth, and he is sprinting down the court, going after chase down blocks.
Yeah.
He's making every pass. He's going as hard as he possibly can to the last second, up by 20. It's really impressive. I hope everyone just really, really enjoys what they're watching because this is special. I don't think it's a question anymore. He's the greatest player to ever live.
Opening up this
can of worms
with 40 seconds left.
Appreciate it while you can is all I'm going to say because you're going to miss it when it's gone.
I'll save that discussion for another time. But what I will say is I do understand. I looked over at Aaron in the middle of the game and I said we have to go to the Lakers Heat game when LeBron comes to town. He's the only big dog that's in the NBA that I haven't seen. I've watched Curry play, I've watched KD, I've watched Giannis, I've watched Westbrook, Harden, all those guys. I've never seen LeBron play. So before he retires, I will have to go watch him lace him up.
Absolutely, man. Well, the quarterfinals take place Saturday at 11:15 a.m. Eastern time. We'll probably get a video out at some point for that one. But thank you guys for listening. It's Locker to Leave It again, and we'll see you guys till next time. Peace.